I met presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, and in this special mini-sode of the Brewster Call, I'm going to tell you all about it. Let me tell you the circumstances of why I went to New Hampshire in the first place. I work 2 jobs. In the morning, from 8 to noon, typically, I clean. In the afternoons, in a less variable on-call schedule, I am a cashier at a local grocery store. And so that evening, that Tuesday, I did not have my second job, and I figured, you know what? Massachusetts is practically a tyrannical state anyways. I might as well go over to New Hampshire, because that's probably the closest I'm gonna get. Because if you think about it, recently on the news, our Governor Maura Healey had been telling us that the illegal alien crisis had gotten way out of hand, and therefore we must all do our part and house them in our houses. And to this I say, Maura Healey, Kim Driscoll, you first. So I went up to New Hampshire, and I really didn't know what to expect. But he started his speech just fine, and I waved at him towards the beginning.
I'm seeing a lot of new faces, and this is good. Actually, this is where I began my campaign.
And he clearly recognized that I had waved towards him. And then later, while he was speaking, he said something about Gen Z.
Actually can deliver that landslide margin by bringing young people with us. He said it, Gen Z right here, young man. What was your name again? Matthew. Yeah, you said it well. We'll bring Gen Z with us. You too. I appreciate that. Good to see you again. That is what's going to make this difference.
And now here's another very interesting clip from the town hall.
I am running for president to revive them. E pluribus unum means from many, one.
Taste.
That is what we need to revive. And the way we're going to do it is we're all going to have to start speaking in public what we otherwise would have said in private.
After he finished his speech, I recalled a tweet that he had done, or a ZD on X. So he had said, in reference to a town hall on News Nation, that I would, quote, run a semi-truck through the Overton window. When it was finally my turn to ask a question, I was third in line. I went up and I said, way to run a semi-truck through the Overton window, as you said.
I love that. Still driving.
You said it. So, good evening, Mr. Hopefully Future President. I'm Jason Brewster from Central Mass, and host of Brewster Call, just so you know. So, I'm happy to join the Ramaswamy Tsunami. I wanted to ask you...
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
What do you think about planned obsolescence? I know that, like, the roads and the infrastructure apply when they've got, like, 2,000-year-old concrete from Rome that they figured out how it works. And definitely in, like, tech companies, they also have that as a thing. Is there anything you would or could do as U.S. president, or is it more of a private sector thing?
Well, I think the first step to take is that the government has made it exceedingly difficult to engage in new construction of any kind in this country. Actually, on that first day when I was in this campaign, you all probably know this, actually here in Rochester, there's a bunch of new construction going up in terms of apartment buildings. So, put the hard hat on, walked around, and we talked to the people there. What's stopping you from going faster? Those of you who live here may know that they've been actually working on that for some amount of time. It's way beyond the schedule that they would have ideally wanted. Regulations coming from the EPA, coming from those 3-letter agencies from on high. And so the first and easiest step before you have a debate of, should we actually be investing in our infrastructure with taxpayer dollars? I'll make this one easy. I don't want to be building Ukraine's infrastructure, okay? I don't want to be, our taxpayer money, literally it is our own dollars that are funding the payroll, the salaries of Ukrainians' deep state, okay? So that's crazy. So is there a better use of money? Would I rather put that in infrastructure here than infrastructure in God knows where? Definitely here. But actually, before we even get to that discussion, I think the private sector can get a meaningful, if not the entire, share of the work done if we actually take the boot of the administrative state, the regulatory state, off the neck of that private sector. Across every sector, from housing. It's why we have a housing crisis, housing price crisis in this country. Constrained supply, not meeting the demand. Why is the supply constrained? Because we have regulations that make it impossibly difficult for new builders to actually build, bring new both commercial and residential construction to market. Why are energy costs up? Well, we have a Department of Interior that is fundamentally hostile to drilling and fracking in this country. If you stand for economic growth, as I do, we have to embrace the idea that we will drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy. That is how you unlock an economy. That is how you bring down cost. That is how you pave the way for a private sector to first step up and avoid the otherwise planned obsolescence that we're in. I like that phrase. I'll be taking with me on the campaign trail. Thank you, my man. I appreciate it.
After he answered my question, it became very clear to me that he didn't actually know what planned obsolescence was. The part about roads and infrastructure, he used that kernel and elaborated much upon it, but I figured it would be useful to him to know what it is, considering he said that I'd bring it with me in debate. Now, I didn't bring any of my business cards. I actually left them over here at home. So what I did is I tore up a bit of paper and gave him a piece with my contact information on one side, and on the back, a definition of planned obsolescence. And it said, planned obsolescence, when a product is intentionally designed to fail after a certain time, typically an unethical way to ensure a consumer is forced to buy another one. I put the date, where we are, and I signed it for good measure. And then, last but not least, I was able to take some photos with him. What a great way to end off a worthwhile trip. Hello. If you've made it to this far in the video, thank you from the bottom of my heart. The Brewster Call is a relatively new endeavor, which I started last year. Now, my weekly uploads are not weekly at all. This in itself is a minisode. I will say this, though. If you like what I'm doing, be sure to let me know in the comments section. I think the Brewster Call is more than just a silly name for a podcast. It alludes to a deeper sense of meaning. It's a calling. My calling is a combination of seeking the truth, wordsmithing, and, as Jim Caviezel at the end of Sound of Freedom said, storytellers. Because storytellers make the difference. And when it comes down to it, change can actually be affected by telling good stories, and therefore, that's what I wish to do. Stay tuned for upcoming videos. I have one in the works about my trip to West Palm Beach, Florida, for Turning Point USA. In the meantime, feel free to share this video with your friends and spread the calling. Let me know how I did. Stay stylish and stay based. Peace.